So today we're taking a look at a wild watch. This watch is large, it's very bright and in your face. It's a dive watch with some kind of weird tricks up its sleeve. The dial is made out of abalone. It's from a brand that I've featured on the channel in the past, and they always try and do something really different and sometimes a little bit weird. Let's flip the camera and take a look at one of the weirdest watches I have ever featured here on Watch Chris. So if you guys are familiar with this channel, you know I love a weird watch. Today we have a really weird watch to show you guys. Is it too weird? I don't know. Let's try and answer that question. This is NOVE. It's a brand that I've actually featured here on my channel a few times. One of the watches that I have featured from them was an ultra thin dive watch with a rotating bezel. It was really, really thin. It was quartz. I think they said it was the thinnest dive watch with a rotating bezel on Earth, and I kind of believe that. It was really, really thin. Very interesting watch. It comes with a microfiber cloth. You have a clamshell enclosure here, which is sort of a travel pouch. It's made out of leather and is signed NOVE. So this is the basic packaging that you get with NOVE, I believe. But here's the watch. You can see right off the bat, this is a large watch. It has some tricks up its sleeve. There's a lot of little details, some of them weird, some of them pretty cool. It also came with end links, just in case you want to put it on a strap, I believe. I have no idea what this would look like on a strap, but this is a 50mm watch. And there's a reason why it is big. It's almost like a tuna from Seiko. The case shape, the case design, it's sort of a shroud, but it is 50.5mm. And then you do have a pretty big lug to lug as well, because you have this bracelet on here which almost acts like a cuff, and it is sort of fixed to the case through the lugs, so it does not bend down very, very much, but 58.6 lug span, it's pretty big. And that's because of the bracelet. And then the thickness here, there's a cyclops. So if you don't get that cyclops, it's around 14.2mm thick, which really isn't that bad. And then the crown, I wish a crown was a little bit bigger. It's only 6.8mm for a 50+mm watch. That's not that big. You do get to see the movement from the back. Now, that is the best part of this watch, in my opinion. It's the Ronda R150. I love this movement, and they actually put a big display case back on here. This is a 300-meter watch, so that's pretty cool that they put a display case back. And you do want that because you want to see this movement. It's actually pretty good looking. It's signed NOVE. I'm actually very impressed with it. This is why this watch is so big right here. There's a lever on the side of the watch, and that allows you to operate the bezel, but it's not the outer bezel that you're actually operating, even though there is a portion of the outer bezel that is rotating. It is an inner area of the bezel that is sort of floating above the dial that moves when you move this bezel. That is all lumed, and I believe it is pretty solid lume. So I would imagine the lume is really good on this watch. And then of course you have these markings that are actually sort of like applied directly onto or embedded into the bezel that is sort of the fixed portion, and that is also lume. Then you have a big cyclops. The hands are sort of fence post hands but sort of pumped up. Those are lumed, and the second hand has a little lollipop on it. That is lumed, or a little rectangle instead of a lollipop. You have the NOVE logo at the 12 o'clock. There is no indices actually on the dial. The dial is made out of abalone. The bracelet itself, kind of weird. You have polishing on the outer links, but they're sort of an H-link bracelet. They put these extra screws in just the first few links, and then this portion of the case, which is really not attached to anything, I don't think. It's just sort of hanging over from where the bezel is. It's a really weird design cue. And then all of the links are screwed. You have a big chunky buckle on here. It's actually pretty nice, and you do have on the fly diver's extension, which you can use for micro adjust in a pinch. Pretty damn cool. I think this is actually a really nice buckle. I haven't seen this exact style. I've seen this style before, but they did it a little bit different, and it's also very nicely signed with the NOVE logo twice, so it says NOVE right there. Big, chunky, Swiss-made dive watch with 300 meters of water resistance, and I'm sure it has pretty good lume. Now, this comes in at $710, which, considering all the little things that you're getting, isn't really all that bad. You do have that Cyclops also. I think a lot of people probably will not like that. I personally don't like it. I don't think you need a date on a watch that this is like sort of out there with all this other stuff going on. The last thing you need is a date, and also the sort of inner rotating portion of the bezel, goes under that Cyclops, so it also gets magnified along with the date. So it doesn't really make sense. But that's just me. Some people might really want that. $710, really not that bad. Like I said, it is a Swiss-made automatic watch with an abalone dial and a trick bezel and a really interesting bracelet if you're into it. I mean, it's nice, I have to say. It's not my style, but it is a nice bracelet. I would probably put this on a strap. It does remind me a lot of a tuna, like I said. So if you like a tuna, I think you would like this watch probably on a strap, not on this bracelet, because I think it's the bracelet that sort of makes it a little bit too flashy for me. But very quickly, today I have on Lane. This is actually going back to Belmont Watches. I will miss it. This is a phenomenal watch, and I really think it's beautiful. I don't actually wear it. I just put it on for this video, but I just wanted to show it to you guys one last time. It's just a really beautiful blue dial. One of the best blue dial watches that I have seen. And it's a little confusing because there is a double push button here, and you go to open up the buckle with that, but it's really for the diver's extension. Other than that, I mean, it's really not that confusing. But this is a heavy, heavy, heavy watch. And you know what? I have to say, it's not uncomfortable, but it looks very big on my 7.5 inch wrist. It's thick, but it's not incredibly thick, considering it's a 300 meter dive watch with a display case back. Really not that bad. It's just big. It just looks big because of its dimensions, the lug to lug, the actual case size being over 50 millimeters. It's kind of crazy that they came out with the 50 millimeter watch these days, where every watch brand is sort of downsizing, and they just went, big. They just went real big. I admire that. They don't care. They did what they wanted, and they designed something that's really kind of outrageous. There you go. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This is a 50.5 millimeter watch. So very quickly, let's do a lume shot. Wow. I mean, the lume is fantastic on here. I would say the hands are probably the least lumed, but the bezel, the outer portion of the bezel, the non-rotating portion, is phenomenal. And then the inner rotating portion is really good as well. And then of course you have the hands. Those are big hands. There's a lot of lume in those, and those are pretty liberally applied as well. But I have to say, it's those actual, like the triangle and the outer portion here, that is really very, very lumed. I think it's just solid blocks of lume that they put right into the bezel. There's little bevels around them as well. It's pretty incredible. I think they did a really good job with the lume. All in all, I think this is a really weird watch. I'm not sure it's something that I would wear, because I think that I'm moving towards smaller watches in my collection. However, this on a strap with something that's a little bit more of a toned down dial, maybe just a plain black dial, I think this would look pretty good on a decent strap, maybe something that's like a leather strap or a rubber strap that you could actually use diving and take away these screws that you don't really need. They're sort of just, to make it look different, I guess, is the reason why they put it on here. It's sort of like Cartier, whatever. I don't know why. I don't think you need it. But other than that, I think it's an interesting watch. And obviously they put a lot of thought into it, and they put tons of lume. So that means, sort of points to me that they care. And there you go. So tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the lume on this watch? In general, what would you change about the watch? I've mentioned a few things that I think could be changed to make it look a little bit more sort of toned down for every day. I think this would actually be pretty cool. Maybe even a smaller case size. That would be awesome as well. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. There are links in the description down below. One of those links are to Whatnot. Whatnot is an app that I use to buy and sell watches. They do auctions. There's Buy Now. I go on there very often to watch auctions because I get tons of really good deals on vintage watches there and also modern watches, so definitely check them out. I also give away tons of watches on Whatnot, usually every other week, so lots of giveaways going on there from not only me but other YouTubers and people who sell watches, resellers on there all the time, so definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a look. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.